Damn.
Are you with the patient now?
I'm sorry?
Are you with the patient now?
Yeah, I'm over at their property. There's no address here. So I have to meet the ambulance or the police, whoever, down at the gatehouse. I'll bring them up here.
Okay. How old is the patient?
I have no idea.
You don't know? Okay, that's fine. Is the patient a male or a female?
A female and a male, probably. I don't know, sir. Just send somebody up here real quick.
Okay. Are they awake?
I have no idea.
Are they breathing?
I have no idea. I'm not inside the house. It's closed. It's locked. I can't go in. But I see them. She's laying down on a floor from the window.
Okay. Okay. Do they appear to be completely awake?
On the way?
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No, it's not.
Okay. Okay. Did you hear them talk or cry?
No.
Okay. Okay. Are they moving at all?
No, dude, they're not moving. Just send somebody up here really quick.
Okay, my units are underway, okay?
Well, you can tell the dispatcher is just reading from a script and really has no idea what he's really talking about, because those people had been deceased for 9 days at that point. Mr. Hackman, 95, and his wife Betsy Arakawa, 65, were both found dead in their home just outside Santa Fe, New Mexico last week. They were famous for their privacy after retiring. By the way, I'm reading from an excerpt from People magazine. And the revelation that Mr. Hackman probably died 9 days before the couple's bodies were found illustrates the seclusion of their neighborhood and just how isolated they had become. You can get an idea of the seclusion from these photos. In the Santa Fe Summit, that's the gated community where they lived, it's just east of Santa Fe. Even some of their nearest neighbors said they had seen no sign of the couple in recent years, except for their trash cans on the side of the road waiting to be picked up. Now, if you disappeared, if you weren't heard from, how long would it take for people to notice that you were missing? It does make one wonder, where are the family members of this couple? The couple did not attend the Homeowners Association meetings or annual picnics, and the expansive 4-bedroom home on a quiet road called Old Sunset Trail is hidden even from the start of the driveway. And according to page 4 of the 6-page affidavit, 2 maintenance workers inside the private gated community where Hackman stayed found the bodies shortly before 2 p.m. on Wednesday last week, just basically a week ago. They immediately alerted the authorities. It is interesting that the guy calling the authorities says that the place is all locked up. It would later be determined that the couple had been dead for 9 days. There were 3 bodies in the house found in this order. Betsy in a bathroom beside an open bottle of pills. Zinna, a 12-year-old reddish Australian Kelpie mixed breed, incorrectly noted in the affidavit as a German Shepherd. And then Gene Hackman, he lay on the ground in a mudroom, his walking cane and glasses on the floor beside the famous Hollywood actor.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. If you're new to this channel, I've written a number of true crime books, from the Ramsey case to Casey Anthony, from the McCann case to the Chris Watts case. As some of you know, I also visited Santa Fe, New Mexico, I think in 2023, as part of my coverage of the Rust incident involving Alec Baldwin and the death on set of the cinematographer Helena Hutchins. The Bonanza Creek Ranch and Hackman's home at 1425 Old Sunset Trail are about 20 miles from each other, or roughly 30 minutes drive. Sunset Trail is on the northeast side of Santa Fe, just off Highway 25, heading up to Denver, Colorado. The Bonanza Creek Ranch is set on the opposite side of Santa Fe, the southwest side, the Albuquerque side. I just do think it's important to locate ourselves. Now, in this analysis, I want to share a theory of what may have happened and also provide some guidance, some critical thinking, which we can use to more effectively approach this case. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please hit the thanks button and let's get started. Now, we are not very good at subtlety and nuance. Do you remember me saying that? Well, this case is filled with subtlety and nuance, which is why investigators are still scratching their heads trying to figure it out about a week later. Now, the bottom of page 5 of the affidavit acknowledges that the circumstances surrounding the deaths of the couple and the dog are unknown. Although the media have seized on the word suspicious in the affidavit, the actual verbiage used is suspicious enough to require an investigation. That word enough is kind of qualifying that it is only somewhat suspicious. Funnily enough, the first responding officer's last name is Arndt, any relation to Detective Arndt in the Ramsey case. I mean, Boulder, Colorado is literally just up the road from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've actually driven that route as well. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. How do we go about trying to figure this out? Well, let's start by stating the obvious question. Is this an accident or foul play? Well, it's the same question we asked when we dealt with the Rust incident and with Jay Slater and Nicola Bully and Kylie Rodney. One possible innocent explanation that has been explored and investigated was a gas leak, but there didn't appear to be any evidence to support this, bearing in mind a gas leak would be hard to prove even if there was a gas leak. Would it explain why the other two dogs running around outside were still alive? Maybe. And so you can see from this excerpt from the affidavit that the New Mexico Gas Company came to the residence, inspected it. Are they going to admit that that there was a leak? Because then they would be held liable, wouldn't they? Especially in a high-profile case like this. Now, contingent to the first question is this question. If there is foul play, are we dealing with an intruder or is it an inside job? Now, the trouble is, if there was foul play, to what end? Nothing appeared to be broken, nothing appeared to be out of place, nothing appeared to be stolen. One of the officers actually used those words. He said that based on his training and experience, nothing appeared out of place while clearing the residence. I've often said the central pillar in true crime is time of death, but that can also be simplified to simply say,
Time. The answer is time.
And time, in my view, is the number one clue we all miss, and I'll explain how we apply it. Here's why. Number one, the age of the decedent, Gene Hackman, was 95. So time is a factor in terms of the victimology. I hate that word, but time is a factor there. It means that he already had medical conditions. He had a pacemaker. The odds of death via natural causes increased dramatically with advanced age. So certainly in terms of Gene Hackman, the odds are that it was natural or not foul play are significantly higher than otherwise. The affidavit assumes, rightly in my opinion, that the decedent died suddenly and unexpectedly, and what's more, he died where he fell. So there's no attempt to cover up or to move the body, and that is something we often see in modern true crime. Now, the same scenario applies, though to a less extent, to Betsy, who was younger than Hackman, but also elderly. I think she was 65 years old. According to the affidavit, Deputy Thomas advised he observed a black in color space heater near the female's head. Now, it doesn't say exactly how far it was away. We don't know if it was 1 inch away or 1 foot away or even more. He advised that he suspected the heater could have fallen in the event the female abruptly fell to the ground. He advised he also observed an orange prescription bottle on the countertop near the deceased female. the prescription bottle appeared opened with pills scattered on the countertop. So that also gives us an indication that she had time to get that bottle of pills, open it, and the fact that the pills were on the countertop means that's where they sort of were opened. I must say, in my imagination, I imagined that the pills were scattered on the floor. So that already makes a difference. Now, this may seem like a stretch, but the same also applies theoretically to Zinner, a 12-year-old Australian Kelpie, also an elderly dog. These dogs typically live only 10 to 16 years. Remember this point because we're going to return to it, the age of this dog. Number 2, it's possible that what precipitated this event was Hackman collapsing either from a stroke or more likely cardiac arrest, and this prompted Betsy to rush for his medication. In the process, she either tripped, slipped, or fell over the dog, possibly hitting her head on the space heater found beside her head and apparently out of place. That's just certainly a scenario. The affidavit confirms the heater being out of place in 2 instances. Here's the one, and here's the other. Number 3. If it's true that Hackman suffered a heart attack, it stands to reason the prescription medication identified in the open pill bottle had Hackman's name on it. This is likely private information protected by HIPAA laws, hence it's not revealed in the affidavit, but that is something we would want to know. Number 4. Of course, the most confounding aspect of this case is the unfortunate death of Zinner, the 12-year-old Australian Kelpie, not only inside the house, but also the fact that the other 2 dogs who were outside survived, and for the same length of time. Zinner was found in a closet in the bathroom. Without photographs, it's difficult to be certain what we're actually dealing with, but it's possible when Betsy fell, she somehow trapped the poor dog in the bathroom. I know I actually have a bathroom door where sometimes the dog follows me and then the door sort of automatically closes and then the dog can't get out. And sometimes the dog wanders in there and also can't get out. So I don't know if that's a situation like that in their house. When Hackman fell and Betsy raced to the bathroom, it's likely the dog ran with her. The fact that it took the officers a while to find Zinner, even though Zinner was only 15 feet from Betsy, suggests the poor animal got itself unwittingly trapped behind a door. Again, without being able to see this, it's a little bit difficult to speculate. It's also possible the animal, out of sheer loyalty, stayed in the house and perished with its owners, and then went to lay in the closet during its final hours. But if that were the case, the decomposition of the dog wouldn't be 9 days. Again, the answer is time. The affidavit isn't clear on this, but we assume the rate of decomposition of the animal was the same as its human masters. But that doesn't make sense either, because if the dog starved to death or died of thirst, this ought to have delayed death and decomposition by a matter of days. Now, I already think that if you imagine that Gene Hackman had a heart attack, which is kind of a random event possible, and then that his wife Betsy then slipped and fell, and not just a fall, but a lethal fall, that's quite a random thing as well. And then for the dog then to also die, that's 3 kind of random things, on top of one another. It's starting to stretch the boundaries of credulity. And so, again, the answer here is time. If the time of the dog's death can be ascertained to be the same or similar to Gene and Betsy, well, that raises the likelihood, I think, of a gas leak. But the autopsy tested negative for carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, that's something you've also got to look at. How much carbon monoxide does there need to be to kill someone, and what is the half-life of carbon monoxide? Is it going to stay in the body? Now, as recently as November last year, a senior center in Santa Fe closed in order to fix a serious gas leak. That's something that was reported in the Santa Fe, New Mexican. So this idea of a gas leak isn't an extreme or unlikely scenario. If the dog's death was delayed by several days, then I think this theory of cardiac arrest holds. Thus, the investigation ought to verify patterns of gas leaks in the area and also verify Hackman's medical history. And from there, a statistical analysis of both possibilities ought to settle the matter. So at this point, we appear to be looking at either a gas leak scenario or a medical scenario and an accidental fall, right? And both of these scenarios aren't basically a foul play scenario. So let's look at a theory presented by Michael Baden, a former chief medical examiner of New York City. And he said this in an interview with Fox News. He said it's possible Hackman could have suffered a cardiac arrest. And he was saying this is the most common cause of death in this country. Severe heart disease, coronary artery disease, and high blood pressure, perhaps, from what's been released. The pills found in the bathroom included thyroid medication, blood pressure medication, that's important to emphasize, and Tylenol. That's according to the search warrant affidavit. Baden said it's possible that in a rush to help Hackman, who had a pacemaker, that's already something that you need to pay attention to. It means Hackman did have heart issues. Arakawa could have fallen herself. She may have struck her head on the way down and had some internal injury to the brain that doesn't show up on the outside or bleeding on the inside of the brain. Now, you've got to compare that scenario, an internal injury to the brain that's basically invisible, to a gas leak scenario that's also invisible. Now, although this theory makes sense on the surface, I think it's extremely unlikely that Betsy simply fell and died virtually instantly from a fall. How often does that happen? It might happen on mountains. It doesn't typically happen in homes. And certainly this isn't like a staircase scenario either. Even if she struck her head when she fell, there ought to be a contusion. The Ramsey case, however, proves that even serious head injuries can appear invisible in certain cases. But I'm not sure that's the case here. And even in the Ramsey case, once when you looked internally, you could see clear evidence of a brain injury. The deceased German Shepherd was found several feet away from Arakawa. Baden said that if the dog was unable to access water during the 9-day stretch between when Hackman's pacemaker stopped and when he was found, the dog could have just died from dehydration. True, but then the dog would have died sometime after the couple. Is that the case? Well, if that can be proved, then this theory holds. If it can't, then I think a gas leak becomes statistically more likely. Whatever is the answer, it doesn't appear as if the dog died instantly like its owners, and therein lies the number one clue we all missed. I'm not going to take it further than that, other than to note that the toxicology results are still outstanding, also that the type of medication found included, well, the blood pressure medication included diltiazem. The strongest evidence of foul play is a door that was found ajar, but no other evidence besides that. The initial reports from the police gave the type of dog and the name of the dog incorrectly, as well as the time that the couple had been dead in their home. Santa Fe Sheriff Adam Mendoza, we've seen him before related to the Russ incident. He said, I think I'm pretty confident that there's no foul play just based on the lack of evidence. But he says, of course, I'm not ruling that out. Interestingly, the suspicions that the couple and their dog died of a gas leak has been ruled out. That's according to Chief Brian Moyer. It seems to me to be a bit premature to be making that assessment, given that the toxicology results haven't actually come out yet. Where we are right now today, there's still no official cause of death. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.